Well, you got your man. It took a while though.
Yeah, it did. But I suppose in all negotiations, I reckon over the next couple of weeks, especially, it's it's always going to be sometimes a longer process. But we were really delighted to get Nick today, and we think he's going to be a great addition to the footy club.
In the end, how did it play out that you get him as a free agent instead of having to trade for him?
Yeah, look, both Nick and St Kilda had to agree to I suppose void his contract. So it was a tough decision, I think, for both parties, because obviously Nick had been a decorated St Kilda player, and also the Saints potentially also wanting to retain his services. But I think both parties agreed that they were happy to move forward, and we're obviously wrapped with that decision.
Do you work now on a separate deal to get Luke Delaney to St Kilda?
Yeah, look, we've obviously St Kilda are the ones that are sort of leading the charge for Luke. So I think over the coming days and into next week, we'll sort of sit down with St Kilda now and try and work out something with Luke. So he's been terrific for us for the last 5 years, and we understand it's opportunity for Luke. So we'll try and facilitate something there if we can.
Why was the club so strong on going after Dal?
Oh, look, I think there's a couple of things, like especially with his experience. That's one of the main draw cards with him. So we still think we've got a young group, but at the same time, he also adds some real class to our group, and we think not just him as a player, but how he can actually assist other players around, especially some of our midfielders. When
did he first come on your radar that you thought you were a chance to get him across?
We were looking at him for most of the year. He's obviously on the free agency list, like most others, but look, probably towards the end of the season, we sort of started to ramp up some conversations with his manager, Tom Petroro, and then probably never knew probably until really last night that we had him. So.
Did you ever fear that he might choose Essendon? Obviously, they were going pretty hard, and he was weighing that up. Did you always confident you sort of had your noses in front?
Yeah, no, we knew that they were really interested. So, obviously off the back of Brendan Goddard going there last year, we knew that they might be more in the market for a free agent rather than trading with their draft position. So, but look, we sort of tried to stay the course, and we thought we were an attractive option for Nick, and in the end, that's the way it went. So that was a good result for us.
I understand some of your senior players are actually involved in those early conversations with him. How important was that? Did they convince him that he should come here?
No. I think so Daniel Wells, Andrew Swallow, Drew, all sort of sat down with Nick, and I suppose just explained a different version to what perhaps some of the staff spoke to Nick about. So gave a real player's perspective. Just giving him a real insight on what we're about here at North. So I certainly think that helped. Just I suppose makes it for getting a few different opinions than just ours. So.
The infancy of free agency, how important is it to target guys and bring them in rather than just going through the draft these days?
I think it just gives you an opportunity to not give anything up as opposed to having to trade a draft pick for them. We really hold our draft picks. We value them really highly. So, most of our list is being built through the draft, but now it gives us an opportunity to try and add to what we've got on our list via free agency, which I think is it's going to become an increasingly good method of getting players in to add to your list.
Seems to be a great feeling around the club. Why do you think players, coaches and administrators want to come to North Melbourne?
Look, at the moment, obviously over the last month, you'd know that some of the announcements off field, which have been fantastic, and now obviously Nick another endorsement of where the club's going. Look, I think there's obviously a lot of selling points about the club. The culture we hold really dear. We think it envies some clubs out there, and we also think that whilst we've got a lot of hard work to go, that we're going in the right direction.
Raise your expectations once you bring in a bloke like Dal Santo for next year?
I think if you put it into perspective, I think it's one player. We think Nick's a top line player. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, one player doesn't make a team make the finals or make a team play off in the last Saturday in September. So he's certainly going to add to our group, but I think internally we know where we're at. And as I said before, we've got a lot of hard work to go, but I reckon we're building some platforms, which is good.
Nick's manager said this isn't about money, it's about on-field success. Did you get a sense of a bit of disenchantment with Scott Waters and where St Kilda's heading just during these discussions?
No, not at all. Like, my dealings with Amit Baines throughout sort of my equivalent at St Kilda have always, our negotiations have always been in good faith, and we've got a really good relationship as well. So, that made it quite easy throughout. So, as I say, the question before about long negotiations, well, sometimes it does take a while to get a result, and that both parties are happy with. So, and I think today that both parties were happy, and they're going to be able to refresh and rebuild a little bit through the draft, and we're also going to be able to have Nick on board, and hopefully he's going to add to our midfield group.
From a purely footballing point of view, what's the biggest thing Nick's going to bring?
I think just his class. I think like his ability to use the ball by foot. I think he'll complement some of our midfielders really well. Like, we've got some really good inside midfielders in Swallow, Zeeble and Cunnington, and I think he's going to be able to help guys like Daniel Wells and Brent Harvey a little bit, both inside and outside. Because he can do both. So, I think I think his leadership, which until you're at the footy club, you don't necessarily know, but I think he's really going to be able to add to some of our leaders as well.